work that needs to be done here. And I just, over the next 2-3 minutes, really just want to talk about that. So what's the most, I was writing I was writing an investment book yesterday, my investment book, and I really was trying to encapsulate my thought process on how to deal with a loss of capital. So the most important thing is to understand that investing is a long journey, and that the road is really bumpy, irrespective of who you are. It's never going to be smooth. There are good years like last year, and there are like this year. And what's really important is for you to have that tenacity, that perseverance to kind of keep through it. And the rules that I put up for myself is to, as much as possible, take away from the emotions of investing. So I have this rule that on the first of each month, irrespective of whether the market is up or down, I deploy a certain amount of my capital towards my portfolio. So this removes a lot of the kind of fretting, oh, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? The other thing is that I try and do is I try very much not to become over emotional about a certain position that's going down. So for example, if the whole portfolio is falling, that I see that as good news. I see, okay, if I have a diversified portfolio of, let's say, about 14 stocks or something, and the whole portfolio is plummeting, these are the diversified positions. You got ad tech, or you got fintech, you got let's say you got some social media, something like that. So these are quite different types of stocks, and if the whole market is saying, okay, everything is bearish right now, that's good. That means the investors are not very discerning. That means that there's an opportunity for you to deploy capital right now, and then in the next, let's say, 12 months, things will most likely have reversed back up, and that capital will have been well deployed, and you'll probably be holding on to some gains. What is important is when you have that one position that has really performed quite badly. So I've got a rule for myself. So I like to make an assessment of the company just after it's made its results, it's public. So in between quarters, there's a lot of noise, and I don't really value that very much. I don't find that particularly insightful. But when the company reports its results, I like to try and understand right there, and over the next 2-3 days, really make a decision of whether I got this wrong or not, because I sometimes get things wrong, and when I get it wrong, I want to act on it immediately. I don't want to be holding out to that investment for the next, let's say, 6 months or whatever, trying to scratch my head, oh, is it going to come back up, head in the sand type of thing. I'm trying to act on it. Most often, I will just not do anything, but if I say, okay, I was expecting the company to be growing and now it's not growing, or it's not quite growing at the rate that I felt it was going to be growing, then I need to act right then. So what I do is, when I open that earnings result, I just kind of go to the bottom of the sheet, and I look at the core numbers. I try to remove any language or around the narrative. I look at the numbers. I try to see, is the revenue going up, or is the type of company that I'm not expecting a lot of revenue growth, but I'm expecting it to be quite stable. So I'm trying to really go back to my core thesis and think through what I've written in the past. I've written about these, let's say, 3 points that I'm looking for. Is that still taking place? So I'm trying to go and understand in a dispassionate way whether or not the position is still moving, the company is still moving in the right way. Are they growing in strength? Are they growing in earning power? Because that's really what you're valuing. You're valuing your capital today. You're deploying capital today into a business that in the next, let's say, 2 or 3 years is a stronger business. You're essentially putting capital into an asset that is growing in power. So that's something that you want to be doing right away. So you want to kind of go to the bottom of that earnings press statement, and you look through the numbers. How is the cash flow performing? Is the cash flow stable? Is the cash flow growing? And trying to understand that. So you want to preserve that capital as strongly as possible, because that's what you need to protect. All other alternatives work out okay, but you need to, when you deploy capital, you need to make sure that you're really with the mind of not going from hero to zero. You don't want those kind of moonshots to become, no shots. You want to deploy capital as safely as possible, and you need to protect that capital. So as I said, if you have that one position that's going against you, most likely, in the past I would say, okay, the market is wrong, Mr. Market is wrong, and people don't get it, and that's why the stock is falling. People misunderstood the opportunity, and that sometimes is the case. But you need to preserve your capital. So if you made a mistake in the past, I would say, okay, the market is wrong, I'm gonna go and play a hero, I'm gonna double down on this investment. Nowadays I'm a bit more kind of mature, a bit more experienced, and if the stock falls down quite significantly, let's say 15-20% for example, which does happen at times, I'm kind of saying to myself, okay, maybe I was a bit wrong here, maybe I kind of like didn't really see things how the market sees, because over time, value investors always say, oh, the market is mostly wrong. No, actually, over time, the market is quite accurate. The market has quite a good insight in where things go, and you can be stomping your feet and say, oh, the market is overvalued or whatever, but the market is quite good at actually discerning where the opportunity is going to go towards. So if the position is kind of not working out for you, there's no point saying, some people say, I don't want to crystallize this because I want to see how it's going to play out, or they talk about taxes or something, and that's not a reason for you to have your head in the sand. The quicker you were able to say to yourself, okay, go through the earnings or go through the 10Q and kind of try and read around the language and try and understand whether the company is actually moving in the right direction where you thought it was moving, or is it moving away from the right direction. So anyway, I hope you found this video useful, and we talked about not playing the hero. We talked about preserving your capital, thinking about your losses, how to deploy capital into something that is moving to increase its earnings power. So as always, hope you found this video useful, and I'm going to see you next Friday to talk about how I invest. See you soon. Bye.